Hello, everyone. This is the Quackcast, the Drunkduck Quackcast. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Gunwallace and Tantz Aerine. Hello.
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 We are the new Quackcasters because Baines isn't here at the moment, so
He took a sabbatical.
A sabbatical. Exactly. So we
wish him and his family well.
Yes.
We do. So we have our fantastic composer, a genius composer with us instead, Mr. Gunwallace, and games master, and everything else, which is fantastic. And today we're covering the weird subject of plutocratic classism and how it manifests and how it seems to affect American politics or just the American society or American culture in a way.
You know, just by that title, some people would expect the sickle and the hammer to just start appearing from either side of the screen as a choir starts singing.
The International.
Yes.
I don't know. I think they'd be thinking about Pluto? What's happening there? Isn't he a Disney character? What's happening? Okay, alright. Before we get into that, we have to mention the featured comic, which was Guts, or Gats. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I say Gats, maybe? So,
I say guts.
Gats. Quackcast, we'll talk about Gats.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Gats by Flumpy Tripod, and it is rated E for everyone. A band of woodland creatures, challenged with a food shortage, attend meetings at the Hungry Fellows Club. The community plans to construct a bridge out of leftover food in order to access more food on the other side. Join a toad lacking the motivation to explore the great outdoors, a traveling hedgehog, a daydreaming squirrel, and an illiterate rabbit on a journey into the woods. A black and white comic strip with line work from dynamic angles, hand-lettered speech bubbles. Find out why Brother Monkey was unable to attend a club meeting and read Gats by Flumpy Tripod, rated E.
And that was Quackcast with her review of Guts. Okay, so next up we have the music. Gunwallace, our resident composer, who is on the Quackcast today, composed a piece of music for Guts as well, coincidentally, which is amazing.
Yay.
Incredible. And I listened to that today, and I described it to Gunwallace. I emailed him, as I always do. A hypnotically relaxing track that builds up the pizzazz level with a synth trumpet band from a quiet spa retreat to a full-on Vegas show. Get a load of those sexy showgirls. So take it away, Gunwallace, who's here with Guts.
Guts.
Gunwallace with Guts. That was you with Guts. Thank you very much for that. You.
You're welcome.
Oh my god, that's so freaky. So I'm always thanking you on the Quackcast for that.
Yeah.
I actually hear when I'm doing that. Oh dear. That is so fantastic. Alright, so now we're talking about plutocratic classism, which is the Ozone Ocean way of describing how a way of looking at like the American kind of system. Which I think to a lot of American people, I think that would just appear normally. They go, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's just how things are. It's just wealthy people are always seen as being worth more, and
yeah, that's very. And I think that this is the right place to say that none of us right now here are Americans. So it's how Americans
or wealthy.
And yet on a global scale, we probably all are wealthy.
Well, it could be.
On a global scale, we probably are considered to be at least in the top 5%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Technically, we are wealthy.
Which is horrifying.
It is very horrifying and despicable about the human race, but that's a different discussion.
That's different, yeah.
But yeah, that would be non-American.
So what do I mean by plutocratic classism?
I don't know. What do you mean by plutocratic?
So it means you come from Pluto, which is a very tiny place. It used to be a planet, not anymore. Now it's considered a dwarf planet. Thanks, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you bastard. And also, he's the god of the underworld as well. And
the dog.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is god of the underworld? I did not know that.
Exactly. Oh. He has a lot of hats that he wears, and that's a big one. But yeah, a dog. Pluto is a dog. Yeah, which is really funny because in Disney they have, of course, Goofy, who is also a dog, but is a human. So what happened there? Who knows? But plutocratic classism. So plutocratic classes. Well, plutocracy means that you have a kind of a system based around the most wealthy people are the highest in society. That's
the highest. They are considered superior.
Yes. So a meritocracy means, society sort of based around who is the most kind of like qualified, or and
skillful.
Capable. And aristocracy means the top of society are people who are sort of kind of born into this a class system. So we have people born into a higher, like, okay, this family are like dukes or whatever, princes, kings or whatever, and then we have barons and all this kind of stuff, and those titles are continued on, whatever. It's based on birthright.
Or you could name your son Baron just to sort of really hammer it home.
Yeah.
Which is weird because that's the lowest kind of level in aristocracy. So.
Yeah.
Only an idiot would do that.
Duke or king or rex is a name we reserve for dogs. So. Oh,
really? So those are different ways of having kind of like levels in society. So plutocracy means, if you've got more money, you're higher in society. And this is my characterization of the American system. There seems to be a plutocratic classism. And you see that in a lot of TV shows and comics and all this kind of stuff. Always like there's this thing based around like if someone's poor, if they're like homeless or something like that, they are the bottom of society, and they're like the butt of jokes, or like, at least I'm not homeless, or the homeless, there's like 5 dead homeless, it's like their lives are nothing, they're not worth anything. And there's also what's that?
It reminds me of American Psycho, what you're describing.
Exactly. Or the whole the idea of the white trash. And that only exists because, white trash is like the same level as a black person, pretty much. So there's this like baked in kind of like racism and classism baked into how much you're worth and all that kind of stuff, which is it's pretty nasty. But I mean, that's not a I am being like very mean and criticizing America. I don't mean to do that. I mean, obviously, looking at things that way is very bad. Oh my god, how can I dig myself out of this hole of just?
We get a lot of stuff from American culture through TV and films and comics. It has a global reach, and those are tropes that are definitely in a lot of global culture because of where it comes from.
Thank you very much for that, Gunwallace. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to jump right into that hole with you because I'm totally going to own up being mean about this. I don't think that this is a system anyone should be proud of, honestly. And I do think that you have this classism and this incredible, weird, warped attitude that money is a confirmation that you are a worthwhile person or blessed by God or what have you, like that you have to at some point become rich to convince society, yourself, others, whatever, that you have worth. And that is something that is ingrained in American society, at least from what I see from its general production of culture. Let's put it that way.
I think they try and conflate the two things. That meritocracy is seen as being part of the plutocratic zeitgeist. Tony Stark, who's Iron Man, he's really clever. He invents lots of stuff. We gloss over the fact that he's got a gigantic amount of money from his father, who is also a genius. It's all about how good he is at stuff. He gets there from merit. The money is secondary to how clever he is.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So. And also they gloss over, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not that into comics, American comics. But didn't he do some casual gun running on the fly before deciding it's bad?
Not casual.
A weapons producer. Yeah, not a gun runner, but a like what do you call it? Like a weapons industry
munitions and
creator.
Yeah, so there's no way to have clean hands when you.
Well, that's part of the first movie's arc, is him realizing what he's done. Yeah, and it came up in the comics a lot in various iterations. The comics change over time.
The thing is, what I'm saying, sorry, I forgot what I was saying because I also wanted to say something else, and the two cancelled each other out. Of course, they also try to conflate with merit, but they also try to have a sort of not correlation but causation, in the sense that if you have money, it means that you have merit, and they sort of imply the vice versa, but it's really the first part that counts more. That we recognize your merit when you make money. Which is why you have the whole, you can't make money doing this or that, or, why are you being a teacher? It doesn't pay. Why are you an artist? It doesn't pay. Go be a tech pro or whatever and do stuff, to money, because that will fulfill you as a person, quote unquote. That's me being very sarcastic, I guess.
And if you succeed as a tech pro, it's because of your merit. You're not luck or anything like that. It was your manifest destiny. It was
exactly. And the whole, and there is this myth that everyone wants to project, but it is a myth of the pulling yourself up by your bootstraps thing.
It's really hard to do.
Notoriously hard.
Whoever coined that term either didn't know any physics or knew a lot of physics.
Or the saying has been kind of like quoted.
Mm.
Like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps because it's impossible to do. So
Exactly. Like, and nobody got it. That's why I'm saying. So yeah, and they all want to be self-made, and nearly nobody is. So, and the only reason I'm saying nearly nobody is because as a scientist, I cannot be absolute.
Yes, exactly. You have to be agnostic on everything, can't?
Exactly. So, yeah, and the thing I wanted to say about the aristocracy, which was very, very accurate the way you put it, those, is that I think that it is a bit of a poaching of the term coined by Plato in his polity, in his book of, all this political systems and what is the best and what are corruptions of those systems. It's a book. I don't agree fully with it, but it is a book, and he did support his arguments, as some people do not do. um, so aristocracy for Plato is that the best people are the ones running the society, because Aristos in Greek means a perfect person, a person that is flawless.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a person that has all the skills, all the ethics, is all for society. Like he or she is perfect, flawless, Aristos. Hence aristocracy, and my cat is trying to. Sorry, I'm sorry. He's being slapstick, comic relief right now. Sorry. Um, so, and they poach that. Why? Because while Plato said that these people should rule, they should also be not after money. They should also be, the ones that completely take into account everything that society needs for all classes, for, all of the stuff that nobody does. So that is what it is to be in an aristocracy. And that is a perfect system that cannot happen, blah, blah, blah. So they poach that and they say that we are the aristi. So we are the ones that are aristocrats. And we run the society because we know best and we are flawless. And we go back into this because I have the money. I have proven that I'm flawless and therefore I will rule. There you have it. I just want to say that because I personally do not like Plato, but I think he's being abused and has been abused.
Whatever fits.
He was very good at setting up straw arguments to take down. That was the whole.
He was. And yeah.
There's a great song by this band called Gentle Giant, who are a
70s prog band, yeah.
Exactly, beautiful. And I can't remember how the song goes, but it's a beautiful kind of madrigal. And some of the lyrics are, I have it because I deserve it. I deserve it because I have it. And it keeps on going like this recursive thing that always goes like, I own it because, I deserve it, all this kind of stuff. And that's how exactly how that kind of thinking goes.
Exactly.
It's self-justifying.
And that also ties in, like, since we are doing this analysis, that also ties in to why these people have such brittle egos and are so easy to offend and so easy, like they become defensive at the drop of a hat and aggressively try to suppress dissension or any kind of objection to whatever they say, is because the only thing that they have to prove that they are aristocrats is the money. They have nothing else. So if you are not cowed by the money, you are extremely threatening to them. So they need to slap that thing down as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Because if you don't bow to the money, what then? They have nothing else to prove their worth with. So
Well, let's think of some examples of like how this was. I mean, obviously, this whole idea came to the fore because Trump has been elected and he really does think this way. Like, oh my God, and people like Elon Musk who's promoting, and people like who is the Facebook guy as well. He's
Zucker. Oh my God, what is his name?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, yeah. These people are all kind of like on board with this whole plutocratic idea, but they all think this way. They all think,
But look at that.
we're billionaires. We deserve it. Bezos as well. We are the top tier of society. But what are some good characterizations of this in culture? Well, we have like I suppose Batman is a kind of multi-millionaire who is seen as being above everyone else, not just because he's a superhero, but because in the normal world he's Bruce Wayne, this man, and he's the only one positioned to really help society.
His alter ego is kind of interesting when you think about it, because he's often portrayed as being very shallow and spoilt, and he's a rich bitch. He's and he's a party guy, and he's not really a nice guy. But his secret, Batman, is the nice rich person.
Yeah,
that's true.
And who are his opponents, though?
Well, the Joker is the main opponent, but I don't know about the Joker's position in society at all. I just know he's like the boss of the criminals. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
Did he come from poor stock or whatever? Or
just thinking back to mainly the animated series, which is my favorite iteration of Batman, there are a lot of reasonably wealthy people that Batman comes into conflict with. Captains of industry that are trying to go a little too far and have invented some substance that will do something bad, or some ray gunny thing that will destroy something or whatever.
Okay.
Ends up creating a supervillain, or that turns out to be a superhero eventually, kind of stuff.
Transition. I don't know. Like, a lot of traditional Batman villains, like say Mr. Freeze. He's a scientist or whatever. Like there's nothing in that. A Bane, who is a very poor like wrestler guy who came from a criminal background.
That's quite a new one, really. I mean, that's like the 90s.
Like, not really. I mean, I know Joker, Penguin, and what the Riddler, and these very stellar ones, I guess. But
Penguin is a wealthy kind of caricature.
Yeah, I mean, he has the suit inbuilt, I guess.
He comes from the Cobblepot fortune. So.
Yes.
Mostly, though, I mean, it's sort of petty theft sort of type of guys that, and terrorism. I would say, like terrorism in the sense of mass impact on the population with poison gas or life gas and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, something like that. I cannot.
I think Batman has been written by so many different people that it is very hard to characterize the villains in any kind of useful way. You can characterize Batman, but his villains are so varied that it's impossible to really get anything out of that.
How about Superman versus Lex Luthor?
Oh, yeah, there you go. The Boy Scout versus the billionaire.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got a multi-billionaire kind of very rich person in society, and who is the bad guy. Interesting. This is Superman, who's a country boy. I mean, obviously he's an alien, but he basically came from a little town called Smallville and came to the big city. And he's only like a journalist. He doesn't have a wealthy job, like Bruce Wayne.
But he's a journalist, though. I mean, he airs the dirty laundry, the stuff that is. Because what is the counterbalance to a very rich person? uh, peer pressure. And what I say by peer pressure, I mean the pressure of the court of common opinion, public opinion, however you want to say it. So they want to have good PR, and not having good PR is a problem. So a big threat is a journalist that does his or her job. So
Or at least it used to be. And somehow now
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to matter.
we don't have that anymore at this point.
Oh, we do. I mean, I think there's a lot of dirty laundry that gets displayed in the media. It's just they just ignore it now.
Is it displayed through the mainline media though? That
Yeah.
most people should.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it certainly is here.
It's hard to think of it in terms of like classic comics and stuff like that, because I don't know. I think that it's tricky. Say in terms of TV shows, I watch a lot of NCIS, which is a real kind of weird snapshot of a different aspect of America. You know, it's like the military worshipping aspect, in that these Navy police. And anything that like impinges on the Empire of America is like, oh my god, that's the ultimate evil, and we must confront that and destroy that because we're good, and you know everything like we do is, and the military particularly is a force of good, and we're like saving the world. But there's also the aspect of like say. They have this director in charge of them, and anytime someone's like a really wealthy person and investigating, you know, oh my god, I can't let you investigate this. Oh, you've only got like 24 hours, and then I'm cutting the funding for this because this is like these people are like, you know, incredibly wealthy, and they're worth so much in our society, and it'd be really embarrassing for us if we you know get this wrong. So there is that plutocratic like aristocracy or plutocratic classism that is less embedded within, you know, the reality of that kind of TV show, and that's like exists in a lot of different, especially cop shows in general. They always have that kind of thing, don't they, in American cop shows? Yeah. If people are really wealthy, they always go, oh, the chief goes, damn it.
He's too wealthy. Stop that.
don't investigate these people.
Yeah. And I have to say that they do have this whole Roman citizen superiority complex as Americans. And I have to say this because if you see a lot of shows, especially CSI somewhere else, you know, beyond the borders or where it is, I don't know, stuff like that, where agents have to go to other countries to do their thing. They have this idea that they are entitled to be privy to the internal affairs of other countries in a way that is weird. Like you do not see it in similar shows in other like produced in other countries and not America.
Since you're saying you're watching NCIS, have you watched NCIS Sydney?
Oh my goodness, I know that exists, but that's too weird to me.
I honestly tried. I couldn't go through with it because it was so infuriating.
Don't watch those sorts of things. But
the fact that
the fact that they've set it in Sydney, even though the only American naval presence is actually where you live on the other side of Australia in Perth, but NCS Perth didn't really sound sexy enough.
Yeah.
Where? What the hell? There's barely no Sydney.
and you know what? That isn't just in the shows. When I was watching the campaigning for these elections very, very closely, and especially in the debates between Trump and Harris and all of that, when they were talking about their foreign policies, they spoke in a way that was offensive to other nations. And I don't think either of them could understand that because they have been raised to feel that America is this overseer of the world and the leader of the free world, and all of that. And as such, they are entitled to meddling in the affairs of every single other country.
The world's policeman.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're taking over from the British Empire. It's the same
exactly.
kind of thinking.
And that is this classism that you mentioned, and going back to what you first described, translating to international politics and affairs. And now we are going to see like the complete extreme cranked up to 11 version of it, with the whole expansionism thing that is going to be happening. So,
Greenland
if I can,
and Canada. Go.
If I can circle back to what you're saying about cop shows, there's definitely the meme where the rich person is being investigated and the captain will say something along the lines of, "Well, you better be really sure of your facts this time." Yes. As if it's a poor person, you don't need to be sure of your facts, because they're not going to get a good lawyer. They're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Exactly. Every single time, and it's weird because
it's downright offensive.
Yeah, it is. But Gunwallace and I, we come from a very egalitarian societies because, I suppose as a reaction to being old British colonies or whatever, we sort of did away with, we were founded by people who sort of they didn't want to be part of that old aristocracy.
Exactly. And same here in Greece, we kicked the king out 3 or 4 times, and he keeps coming back. But right. As of now, we are in in a non-king era, having ousted the king, and
zombie king, king wants brain.
Exactly. And why am I saying this? Because the so-called Greek royal family, which is an offense to even say this, but anyway, is trying to come back right now as we speak. So but anyway, the entire society, the mainstream Greek society, is very intolerant of classism as well. Although it does happen, of course, in the way policemen treat rich people, for example. So,
I mean, in New Zealand, it was considered a big gaffe when our Prime Minister, on a radio chat show, which was very friendly towards him, he was being asked about the properties he'd sold recently for a large amount of money, because we don't have a capital gains tax here. If you sell a property, it's all profit. You don't get any tax on that. And when asked about it, he came up with the wonderful line, "I'm wealthy, I'm sorted," which will haunt him for the rest of his short little career as Prime Minister. But
you know what, though? That would not even make anyone blink right now in America, I would bet. Maybe they would do that.
Yeah, I think that fits. That's logic.
I think he saw it as a positive. He just didn't realize that most New Zealanders see that as a negative.
Yeah. Say in Australia and New Zealand specifically, we are very much if you try and put yourself above people, then that is a huge sin. Mm-hmm. That's oh my God, you dickhead, who do you think you are? And you'll be torn down. Because those are the tall poppy syndrome, but we just don't have that kind of classism in normal society. It's seen as being that's a super social faux pas to try and put yourself above someone else.
Although it's definitely there. I mean, there's definitely a classist system, and even in New Zealand, the golf clubs and
we have suburbs that are technically, typically not, but technically, that only rich people can be there.
Of course, it's implicit, but if you're being explicit about it, that's when it's seen as socially kind of wrong. So there always will be that kind of thing. Yeah, we're not communists. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Not yet, anyway.
Another thing now, since you mentioned communists and all the whole thing, the weird way that communism and socialism are basically boogeyman words in America is insane to someone like me that has grown up in Greece. We have a communist party in parliament and a freaking communist suburb, like where there's all of them are communists. In Athens, there is this suburb. Even if I say the name, nobody will. It doesn't matter. Where you have the Communist Party headquarters, and all the neighborhoods around there are basically either super left people or hardline communist people. So it's a communist suburb. Like the name is shorthand for communism over here. That's how much it is. But it's insane. First of all, that the two words socialism and communism, the terms, the definitions are completely conflated and confused. And anything they don't like, communism, socialism, be afraid, tremble in your boots, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
the bugbears.
yeah, that to me, and that this thing still exists. Okay, in the 50s during McCarthyism or whatever, but this thing still exists with all this information available is worrying. It's very worrying that people still cannot be bothered to learn what the hell that is and why are all the billionaires so terrified of it.
That is interesting, though. I mean, we use these things as shorthand without going in to explore why it's bad or why it's good or whatever. And when you do that, when things devolve into rhetoric, they can become like people don't bother to understand the reality of it. Even left-wing people saying everything's fascist. This is fascist, that's fascist, without having to understand what fascism means. And fascism doesn't mean Nazism. Fascism is a specific sort of political movement. It means a subservient to the state in a way, or the group.
It is a type of state authoritarianism that imposes a certain way of life, and it veers towards militarism. It doesn't necessarily need to be that, but it definitely pushes society to be a militaristic society, and it is a gateway drug to Nazism. So yeah, but there is a difference.
It's an extreme form of nationalism. Yeah, it's quite weird.
In the same way that education is a gateway drug to socialism.
And the thing is that the whole lack of education on using definitions is so appalling and unobvious to someone not in there in a way, and I can understand why an American person wouldn't necessarily understand that, because it's very hard to be raised in a zeitgeist and a culture and realize that certain things are not normal. It's like when you are in an abusive family, certain abusive behaviors, you take that this is what everyone does, that it is the norm, when it isn't.
This is normal. I just want to get into the idea of why it exists in the first place. Okay, so we've got the egalitarianism in New Zealand and Australia. Other places too, I don't know, but that exists mainly because these were offshoots of the British Empire, and you had people who were mainly coming to these countries as a way to make money. So you left all the old classism at home, and you had people who really found it we go, oh yeah, this is what was it, like a convict kind of thing. But yeah, the convict stuff was neither here nor there. That was just a way of Britain trying to found the trying to take control of a piece of land. But what really made them, actually make money out of the land was encouraging all these people to come down here in order to make their fortune. And people who couldn't make their fortune back home because they went high in society, because they had no aristocratic kind of levels or whatever, poor people were able to come down to New Zealand and Australia, get farmland, and suddenly make a lot of money. And that's why the country was founded. So it didn't matter about your class in the end.
I don't know about a huge amount of money necessarily, having done a lot of colonial history, but
they could move up within society.
But they had land, whereas you couldn't get that back in the old UK. There was just none to be had. So
that was how these countries were founded. Say America was had a kind of similar kind of origin, quite a bit older than Australia and New Zealand, but they had all these other kind of because of the whole revolution. So they completely split themselves off from Britain. The whole they were very proud of that. Where am I going with this? So the different way America was founded, it was okay, so everything will now be based around commerce. I think that is the god in the way things are founded.
You could argue that colonial Australia and New Zealand are about the Commonwealth, about everyone trying to pitch in, and basically have their own slice of paradise. And whereas America, you quickly got winners and losers, and it was all about scale. You got people buying up large tracts of land, buying it up from small homesteaders, and creating giant, almost factory farms before factory farms existed. And you've got things like Billy the Kid being involved in land wars, which everyone kind of forgets, where he's fighting for a bunch of small farmers against some big farmer. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on there with consolidation of land, power, and money, which didn't happen so much in New Zealand and Australia and Canada, where it was still more about the individual families owning the land, although that's of course changed by now.
And over here in Greece, though we used to be, now it's not the case anymore, or it's not as much the case, let's put it that way. We used to be basically a monoculture, very, very homogeneous society in terms of who a Greek person is, very sort of indigenous, if you like. But the entire class of that created Greece as it is, or as it used to be, because now they are trying to dismantle stuff, was the idea that we have to carry the aristocracy, but in the way I defined it before, making it so that everyone has a good life in this land, and actually applying it in ways. And the whole friction in Greece was more on which system does that best, rather than let's create a caste system and have, superiors and inferiors and whatever. The whole idea was capitalism is how we get everyone to be happy, or communism is how we get everyone to be happy, or democracy with socialism is how we get everyone to be happy. Let's all fight each other until whoever wins does what they feel is right. and basically that's Greece in a nutshell. And of course, while everyone is fighting like that, you got the big landowners and the plutocrats of Greece, and some international ones coming in to swipe stuff while everyone else is infighting. So that's Greece, basically. And the king, and the random king that comes and goes.
German king, the German royal family controls all of Europe.
Basically.
So I wonder how similar Greece is to the rest of the Balkans in that respect.
Not as similar, because I think in the rest of the Balkans, the king had a more direct connection to the people there, whereas our kings, I think we only had one king that married a Greek person, for example.
They're all just German.
That's Germans, yeah. Most of them couldn't even speak the language. So. Which still works that way. I mean, only now the guys that want to be called princes, still now can speak Greek, but their dad was awful about it, and they did not speak about their grandfather. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
okay.
Trump trying to be a king? Is he trying to be the new emperor?
Right now he's a king, and he's acting like a king.
Oh, I think he's being an emperor. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to see his new clothes. I don't want to see them.
No. No. And going back to the whole teaching Americans to not call things as they are and not know definitions and all of that is coming back to bite them right now. And denying reality if they don't like it, that's another thing. Because you have Elon Musk doing the freaking Nazi salute, and everyone is feeling that they can discuss if it was that, when it is the definition. That's exactly how the Nazi salute is made. Like that's how you know.
No. It was just a simple gesture from a simple man who wanted to tell everyone how much he cared.
Yes, how far his heart is going out to them, all the way.
Yeah. He's serving it palm down, I guess. So.
Yes, it's a common gesture, isn't it? I mean, in Germany that was really popular. I seem to remember, like in the 30s and 40s, the Germans loved sending their hearts out to people.
In Italy, it was quite popular in Italy as well.
Yeah, Italy. Oh my God.
They wanted to share their greatness with everybody.
Yes, it goes back to the. They like to think that it goes back to the Romans, and people pretend that the Romans used to do that, but apparently they never did.
No, they don't.
No, the Romans, I think, did other things that they wouldn't. The conservative.
They desperately tried to defeat a village in Gaul, I believe, over and over again.
But yeah, and the freakish, and they. I don't think. I mean, I do know that a huge portion of people are healthy-minded, and they realize that they are starting to go through freakish times in the US, but there is this tolerance of this freakishness that normalizes it, and that is dangerous for everyone, for the world, basically. And
sorry if my audio sounds a bit weird. It's just started to really rain here.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It's very good at affecting it. Oh my God, I wish it was raining here. Oh.
I'm glad it's not raining here, because the dog then needs help to go up and down the stairs.
It is interesting how entrenched that plutocratic classism is. Because look at most of American politicians, and you think these are the top wealthiest people in the, apart from that AOC woman. What's her name?
Yeah. Cortez.
Yeah. And Cortez.
Yeah, and there would be a few others, but generally no. There's people like the ones
even she would have had to have had some backing in order to get there, because it's impossible to get elected without money. And although the House is a bit different than the Senate, certainly senators have to have a lot of money backing their campaigns. It's just impossible otherwise. And that's been the case since the 80s, really.
Yeah. And what is wild is this whole, I'm accepting donations for my campaign. Like over here, and we have a ton of corruption here. Like Greece is a banana republic, and anyone who lives in Greece knows that. And even we do not accept donations, quote unquote, for elections. Like you're not allowed to be subsidized by plutocrats over here.
We have started to do that here, and business gives to the right something chronic, and so they had a lot more money to spend last election than the left, because
Exactly. So,
They
and
get a lot.
Well, in Australia, it's the unions give to the left and the rich people give to the right. So
over here, technically, the state gives to every political party
Same here.
stipend, whatever, like an amount of money to run their campaigns. And of course, it is not an equal amount of money as it should have been. They give to the one that won the previous elections gets the most money, and they go.
of course.
But at least it's like nobody gets to give them money. The state gives them money, and they run their campaigns according to that. Of course, under the table, everything goes, but it's under the table. My God, it's not like a Formula One driver that has a gazillion, brands
Prize
under.
money.
Yeah.
There's a computer game called Civilization, which is obviously a fairly famous computer game. And years ago, I think when the second or third iteration of it came out, they interviewed the designers about it, because at a certain point, when you're certain types of government, there's an amount of corruption. And for example, if you were communist, the amount of corruption was quite a lot. But when you became a democracy, in that version, all the corruption went away. And he was asked about it, and he said, why is there no corruption in democracy? And he said, well, because it was based on America, and basically they just redefine it so that it's part of the system and it isn't corruption anymore.
Okay, hats off to that. That's not true.
That was very clever. That was redefine. That's exactly what's happened, especially now. Yeah. Oh my goodness me.
See, we go back to definitions. Freaking definitions. It's like, oh my goodness, it's amazing.
Well, speaking of definitions, supposedly the definition that the Trump administration has put in to define genders, apparently there are now only 2 genders.
Oh my God, yes.
Has created overnight a huge number of transgender people, because apparently males are people that produce sperm. But of course, if you're a prepubescent male, you don't produce sperm, so you can't be a male.
Ew.
So at some point, you must transition from female to male under that definition.
Or people with vasectomies or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think they also did something that it's whoever, like the gender that you have at conception, and everyone is a female at conception. Everyone is a female at conception. So, hi, girls.
Hi. I'm fine with that.
It's you know what, it's so, it would be funny if it wasn't so embarrassingly pathetic that they are so ignorant.
Yeah, but they're in charge, man, and they're popular for some reason. And I think there's always a danger that we forget that they actually have appeal to people, and what they're doing is popular.
No, don't forget that. Absolutely not. And there is a reason for that.
Are we stabbing ourselves in the face with this Quackcast? Yes.
Why?
Who do you think most of our listeners are?
It ends in 2 minutes, so summarize quick.
It's our freedom of speech. You know what? It's still around outside of the border.
It's only freedom of speech if you're talking about guns and how much you hate women and how much how terrible Muslims are.
This new thing, this new sin that they coined, the sin of empathy. I don't know if you are
wow.
No. Because this bishop apparently called out.
Oh, yes.
And now they are saying that she's like the devil because she commits the sin of empathy, which is not a thing. And you would expect people to at least have read the Bible, but no, I guess. So
yeah, there's been various memes going around taking bit from Life of Brian, where they ask, oh, he seems to have upset everyone. What did he say? He said, be nice to everyone. Be kind to everyone. Oh, yes. Well, I can see why that wouldn't have gone down well.
Well, this has been an interesting Quackcast.
Yeah, feel free to sound off in the comments.
Please lambast us and tell us how much we are wrong. Please.
Yeah,
please
sure.
do. We would love
Yes, liberal elites.
Yeah, we can handle that, unlike some people.
that. Exactly. Free speech is good to us. So this has been Quackcast number 724. Signing off. Ocean.
Bye.
Gunwallace and Tantz. Goodbye, everyone.